just through voicemail like Michael and I did a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to sit here with Abigail and I'm going to actually refresh some of the things that we have talked about. And we're going to give some of your friends several minutes here to pop online. So if you have a minute or have some team members or somebody new who really is interested in what ketones are, what ketosis is, please share the number with them. I think it just got posted on the Facebook page of Just Prove It. So anybody out there, we're going to give you several minutes here to share that with everybody. And we also are streaming here a little bit live, so I'll try not to look at my phone the whole time. But Abigail, tell me what's been your best experience with Keto OS?
My best experience with Keto OS. You know, I have to probably say that it's been with energy. And appetite suppressant. I used to eat every 2.5 hours. I came out of competing using this. I didn't want to have to use 6 meals a day anymore. I used to count my macros like a maniac to try and stay lean. And when I was able to start drinking Keto OS, it was like my blood sugar, my hormones were more stabilized and I didn't have to eat as much. I didn't get hangry. I all of a sudden felt myself going like 3 or 4 hours without having to put in food. And then the energy, I've really been able to cut back on caffeine. I used to take fat burners. I used to drink Monster. I would drink about 3 cups of coffee in the morning. I just felt like, you know, when you run off of glucose, you're constantly running out of that energy. And just, I take these ketones twice a day. And I feel energized. I feel a mental clarity I've never felt before. I feel like my blood sugar is stabilized. I always felt like I was hypoglycemic, just struggling at, you know, when it got time to eat, it was awful. So, and everybody around me knew it was time to eat. So I think ketones for me was a big, almost like with hormones. Would you say that would have been what was going on?
Not making any medical claims here, and I am not her primary care physician, so I'm actually going to take the fifth on that one. But I'm going to take a minute here to introduce myself. I know last week I was so excited and I felt so blessed to have so many people viewing us and so many shares on the Catch Me account. I think there was over 450 questions, and I'm sorry if I did not get to your questions. They were just coming in so quickly, and I appreciate all the hearts that you sent. So I'm hoping today will be a little bit different way, and maybe if you're in your car, you can listen and you won't have to worry about driving or pressing hearts that way and be a little safer. But we will have a playback for this. But I'm just going to take a big step back in case I have anybody on here who's new. I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Heather Carton. I am one of the Prove It nutritional specialists. So when you go to the website or you have someone who has a nutritional question, it's simply on the button that you push. If you have a question about what's happening with ketones or what ketosis is, it's a wonderful, wonderful area. But before you press the Ask a Specialist, there's another tab called Browse FAQs. FAQs are the frequently answered questions. Pruitt has done a remarkable job. There is so much information there that answers many of just the common questions, and it simply starts with, what are ketones? Well, ketones are a byproduct of fat metabolism. So we have been using them our whole life. We just didn't know that, and we have not really been using them to the extent that we needed to, and that's probably a whole nother topic. But I really want to say the difference, or the two fuels that we use in our body, is glucose and ketones. So I'm going to stick to ketones because we are talking about Keto OS. So last week we discussed really what ketones are. Ketosis is simply an elevated state of ketosis, or having an elevated state of blood ketones in your blood. Sorry, I said that twice. But so that it is possible to drink Keto OS and have an elevated level of blood ketones without being in a nutritional ketosis, which is almost a starvation mode with a low-carb diet. And there are many, many wonderful benefits of ketones. So when people say yes, they would like to order ketones or Keto OS, or yes, they'd like to start with a supplement, kind of know what your why is and then kind of what you need to expect. And I know everyone gets very, very excited. They hear all the wonderful information about ketones and that this is the first time ever that we've been able able to order a therapeutic exogenous ketones, the first mistake people make is they want to get started so quickly they just drink a whole big serving. And we know that since your body's been really more carb adapted than fat adapted, that sometimes this can cause a little bit of a headache or a little bit of a tummy ache. So last week we really focused on where to find answers if we need them, which are the FAQs, and really starting slow. So that means start with maybe half a serving mid-afternoon. If you're a person who is not a huge big water drinker and have never been a water drinker, and you know that when you're sleeping at night, you're not drinking water, I would probably suggest you waiting till you've got some 16 to 18 ounces of water in the morning and then take the Keto OS, because that's a really common question that we have. I know Abigail has yours mid-morning also, right? You don't have that first off the bat. You have yours mid-morning.
I use it for an intermittent fasting. At 7 a.m., I put the keto cream in my coffee. I start getting a little bit hungry around 10. I take a full scoop of the Keto OS, but I had been taking half. I'm full. I'm fine with a full now. Gets me through till about noon where I have my first meal.
Yeah, and so again, I think the mistake that people made is they're so excited, and people are really thirsty for this information and thirsty for feeling better, having better energy, having better sleep, maybe different body composition, that they just start too quickly. And again, there's no quick finish line with where your health is. It's always a constant project that you're working on, is to make your body healthy or get towards that optimal state of health. So really start slow. And those people who are not good water drinkers, they know who you are. I have been practicing for 20 years and people say, yep, doc, I drink tons of water. I have a glass in the morning and a glass with dinner. And they think that's a lot of water. So you might write this down or remember this. This is kind of a normal standard. A half an ounce of water per body pound. The reason I'm really sharing this with you is because ketones have a mild diuretic effect. That's why we see inflammation reduce. That's why we see water come out of fat cells so quickly, is that it has a mild diuretic effect. So if you're not a great water drinker, you need to really change that habit first. So if you get your Keto OS and you didn't have any water yesterday, I would tell you don't start with it today. Get really hydrated today. The rule of thumb is a half an ounce per body pound non-exercising. We lose a pint of water at night just while we're sleeping through our HVAC. So make sure that you're really well hydrated. Don't put it on an empty stomach and first thing in the morning if you weren't hydrated the day before. Or if you really had an awesome workout the day before and know that you're probably a little bit dehydrated at the end, then make sure that you get water in prior to having that. And that's one of the major concerns that we get. And the second thing that we tend to hear a lot of is allergies. I get a lot of questions about allergies. Pruvit has done an awesome job labeling it. So there are labels at the bottom. Those labels actually mean something very important. And there is an ingredient label on the back. So the first one says it's lab tested. Some of the common questions I get is, has this been tested in the lab? And the answer is absolutely yes. We cannot put the lab tested seal on there if it's not on there. And then another question I get is how much BHB is in there, how much MCT, how much are the ingredients. So I would say that it is a proprietary blend. They have not even released the information to me, nor has Brian shared it with me. So I am not able to get that information out to you, nor is Dr. Andy, but I know that's a really common question I get, is how much BHB is in there. And my answer is, it is enough to put you into a state of ketosis within an hour. If you're checking it by blood, which is a more precise measure, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So Abigail, when you were doing a half a serving, were you still getting into ketosis?
Yes.
And you were still in a normal paleo diet. You weren't ketogenic diet. You're still having carbs.
I tell people all the time, I practice a low carb, high fat. For me, there's no reason why I need to be restrictive to have my own body produce ketones when I'm taking Keto OS. I do like to use some carbohydrates around lifting weights, and so this is the perfect product for me. Sometimes it takes people 4 weeks to get into a state of ketosis where they're producing ketones. And if that's your goal, producing your own ketones, then this is still an amazing product to help you get there. And we can still have the effects of reduced inflammation, more mental clarity, more energy just by supplementing this in. So it can be keto, it can be paleo, it can be low carb, high fat. I have bodybuilders using this and they're having 300 carbs a day and they're still getting the results of ketones.
So that's an awesome testimony, because a lot of people really are so excited to get their urine stick to turn pink. And they're like, oh, but doc, I want to have that experience. I want to turn it pink because they've been trying so hard. and they think, well, if I take a reduced serving, will I still get there? And some of it is, it depends on your body composition. It depends on your hydration level. It depends on your stress level. It depends on how much you slept. It depends on your diet the day before, the day after, if you're on prescription medication. So I know it's important to get that positive test, but I'm telling you, I cannot share how many milligrams of BHB are in there because they won't tell me either. But what we do know is it is enough to put you into a state of ketosis, which is just an elevated level of blood ketones within an hour. The second question that I get a lot, because today I really want to focus on allergies, is that every ingredient is on the label. It's on the big blue bottle too behind me, so I brought that. But what I want to let you know is, yes, there is milk in there. And if you go to the FAQs, you will see that when it says, what is the dairy on the FAQs, it will tell you it's cow's milk dairy. And it's simply used to plate it. Even with the new version 2.1, there is still dairy in it. The international version that we're working on will be vegan and vegetarian, so it will be dairy-free. But the 2.1, the new version, does have dairy in it and is used simply to plate the MCT, or the MCT has dairy in it itself. The second question I get is it gluten-free? And if you go to the website, proveitnow.com, and you go to product and you scroll all the way down, you're going to see the big gluten-free label. You're also going to see it right there on the bottle. So, Keto OS is not dairy-free. It is gluten-free. It is shellfish-free. It is nut-free. It is mushroom-free. I get that question a lot because many people are sensitive to mushrooms. It is soy-free, but it is not dairy-free. It is not vegan. It is not coconut or palm kernel oil. That's where we derive our MCTs from. And again, I don't even know the milligrams. It's enough to put us into ketosis in an hour. The other thing that it has in it that I get a question a lot of is iodine. So if you read the label, 7% iodine. There are people who are truly allergic to iodine. So if you're a person who your doctor has said, if you don't have an iodine contrast with a CT exam, or you know you're sensitive to iodine, even though it's shellfish free, it is not iodine free. So if you send me a question on the Ask the Specialist and you say, I'm allergic to iodine, can I take that? I have to respond no, because it is not safe if you have a known allergy for it. So I don't want to be negative here, but I want to let you know that those answers are just going to be as truthful as they can for you. It is not dairy free if you have a dairy allergy, and it is not iodine free. And we do get that iodine question quite a bit. So I always say check with your primary care physician before taking that. But I wanted to cover those and let you know that Keto OS is all natural. It is non-GMO. And again, those labels on the front mean a whole bunch to us. It's so much work that they've put into it at the company and into the lab to make the quality that we're able to receive this and put you into a state of ketosis in just an hour. So that's amazing to me. So other thing I was going to cover today was hydration, which we did. And if you didn't catch that, it's a 1/2 ounce per body pound. And if you have someone saying, oh, I took it first thing in the morning and I got a headache, it's because they were probably dehydrated the week before or the day before. And so they're going to get that little bit of a headache. Just simply reduce your dose. Abigail, what's one of the most common questions you get some of your approvers or customers or just people wanting to know about Keto OS? What's the number one question you get?
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say
it.
I'm going to go ahead and say it because this is going to be a rabbit hole for you. But we got Dr. Heather here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and write them down and send them. But they want to know, when I start taking Keto OS, what should I do with my diet? I know it's nothing about the product, but I got you here and they all want to know.
All right, I'm going to keep you in suspense a moment because I just found out that Michael Lightfoot's on the call. So hello, Michael. We've missed you. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. How are you ladies doing?
We are being adapted today, so because the Periscope didn't work. So anyway, I just asked Abigail one of her common questions, and then I'm going to come back to you because I do get that question, how should I change my diet? What should I do? So it always is, what are the goals for you taking this? If you're just wanting to sleep better, then I'm going to tell you just keep doing what you're doing. But as a healthcare professional, I've never ever advised anyone to have a high sugar diet. I've never advised anyone to go out and eat MSG. I've never advised anybody to have a diet high in nitrates or food coloring. So I generally recommend, because people say, what do I need to do? The great thing is you don't have to do anything to get the benefits of ketones into your body. You can simply drink it with the diet that you're having. to maximize your improvement and to get better health, to reduce cardiovascular disease, and to reduce diabetes, we know that a low carbohydrate or low sugar, low processed food diet actually helps reduce those risks. And those are the number one and number two concerns of Americans, or the killers of Americans. So that is a great question, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Michael, welcome to the call, and thank you for rushing home to jump in. And thank you, Nancy and Stacy, for getting this all worked out here today. Michael, I covered a little bit about food allergies. I covered a little bit about make sure that you're very well hydrated when you're taking Keto OS, or even when you're not, making sure you're hydrated. So tell me what questions you've thought about the last couple weeks that we were unable to cover since we did a Periscope last week.
Well, it's interesting you ask us. I actually just came out of a gym session with my trainer, and I got beat up. I mean, I'm just sitting here kind of woozy and stuff. So I guess my question would be, and maybe Abigail, both of you can answer this, is when is the best to take keto at, before or after the workout? That's one question for sure.
Okay, so the studies that have been done from Dr. Dufty through Vespar Academy is they actually, my research and clinical data, they did a study with the person doing a bicycle exercise or training exercise. The person was already in mild ketosis, and then they gave the person about 15 milligrams. This is a research article, an hour before their bicycle ride for the next trainer cycle. So the first time the person was in mild ketosis, the next time they were in stronger ketosis. So that study was done with an hour, and it was an extended cardiovascular bike ride with a high intensity. So I would tell anybody, it's really how you feel, and it does depend on hydration. So try 30 minutes before your workout this week and keep it pretty stable. And then if you're not feeling like you're recovering, or you're not really killing it at the end of your workout, or you don't feel like you could do 10 more reps of something, then maybe move it back maybe 45 minutes and kind of see how you finish. So it's kind of how you start and how you finish and how you feel in the middle. It's kind of like the question, how much water should I drink? Should I drink during my workout, before my workout, the day before? The fats from Keto OS are being used for fuel. So the studies have depended whether you're doing an extended cardiovascular exercise or resistant training. The standard answer I give is really start 20 to 30 minutes, do the same thing for about 7 to 10 days, then monitor your heart rate, monitor your oxygen rate, see how you feel the next day, see if you're able to increase your reps or your maximum altitude or amplitude, however you're measuring that on a bike or a Stairmaster. So it really is a little bit of an individual one. So how did you answer that, Michael? Or Abigail wants to give a shout out here.
Yeah, Michael, from just an anecdotal point of view, probably the number one thing I experienced from the ketones, what I notice about workouts, is the mental clarity. And we know that in weightlifting, at least, one of the biggest things that we can do is be very aware of our movements and form. It's very kinetic. And so if I like to take a half a scoop before, about 30 minutes before my workout. And also I was just in a seminar last week in Phoenix with Charles Poliquin, the world's #1 strength and conditioning coach. And he was recommending to his students to take a scoop about 30 to 45 minutes before they go in for a workout. I mean, I'm seeing the mental clarity, and that's one of the most important things you can have while you're lifting weights, is that kinetic focus mind to the muscle and the movements you're doing. That will maximize your building your lean mass. So.
Well, thank you very much. That answers that. And I'll tell you, the product's remarkable. It is truly remarkable. And just on a side note, it is so easy to engage one in a conversation that's in the industry of health and fitness. I mean, I've been working with this trainer for a bit now, and every day, we're talking more and more about it. He's taken it upon himself to learn more about the subject, and he's very excited about the prospects about what the product can do and how it can not only improve his performance in that, but also his clients as well, because he's dealing with a lot of folks that are a little older than the norm, and he just wants what's best for them. But, it's interesting. This young man, he's in great physical condition, but he suffers from type 1 diabetes, and which was interesting. And so that was a question that always comes up, and maybe you could share your thoughts on it. Someone that has type 1 diabetes, sometimes they hear that, it's not safe, you shouldn't do it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, a person with type 1 diabetes, I can probably talk about this all day long, but first check with your doctor. But again, fat for fuel versus glucose for fuel. I can go back and recite some of the studies that they did from the American Diabetic Association when they actually increased the carbohydrate allowance and decreased the fat allowance. But always check with your doctor and go very, very slowly, because again, you're just adding more fuel. I don't think any endocrinologist would tell you don't eat an olive or don't eat butter or don't eat nuts. I don't think that's ever going to be suggested. So when you relay that ketones are just a byproduct of fat metabolism, like avocados and butter and coconut oil and nuts, I don't see a dietitian out there telling people not to eat those fats if you're type 1 diabetic. Just make sure, again, that you're doing it as a team. So you're using your doctor's influence and you're measuring your blood sugar. And that's the number one thing I tell people, whether you're type 1, type 2, or if you just tend to be hypoglycemic, start very slow and really monitor your blood glucose level. And what I found through a lot of the questions is people don't feel so good sometimes when they're taking the Keto OS and their insulin, because it's actually dropping their insulin, which is a good thing because we want insulin levels to be between 70 and 100, but they're not used to that feeling. So actually they're getting too much insulin at that time. But again, I'm not making medical claims and I'm not giving medical advice. And people who are type 1 diabetic know how to measure their blood glucose. They know how to, if they're on a pump, their pump will automatically measure it for them. So go very, very slow throughout the day, not first thing in the morning. But just again, it is safe to do. There's a lot of articles out there, and I would say find an endocrinologist that will work with you and wants to make those changes. And Michael, that was an awesome question, but we've also got a couple questions coming in here that said, I don't like the taste. And I've heard that about 400 times. Michael, I think you've probably heard it 1,000 times. My thing is that the benefits totally outweigh the taste. So it is just remarkable what Prove It has done to make it palatable. And if you don't like the flavor, I would never say shoot it straight. It's too much at one time, and there's enough salts to help buffer it that it can be dehydrating for your body, especially as an athlete. So either add salt, add lime juice, add lemon juice. I would say people do a lot of LaCroix or sparkling water. You can put anything in it that helps change the flavor that's natural. There's lots of different flavors of stevia that you can buy. You can mix with another fat like coconut milk or cocoa powder or almond milk and make a smoothie out of it, make a popsicle out of it. But I would never advise someone just to shoot it. It's energy for our body. And I would never say, like, if I have my whole water bottle here, I wouldn't say I'm going to drink it all in one time, because you know your body's just going to excrete it. A slow, gentle influx, like a slow rain, is much better than a pouring down rain. So your body's been deprived of ketones for a long time. Simply get over the taste or find a way that you like it.
If Dr. Oz says drink apple cider vinegar, people do it. And that stuff is disgusting. And this is way more powerful than apple cider vinegar. And it actually tastes decent.
But again, the benefits far outweigh the taste. And if it's with a child you're working with, then I would respect that and try to let them find a LaCroix drink that they like and that they can really make palatable so they can get the benefits that they need.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because one of the biggest challenges in the development of the product was to get it to taste, to be able to taste, because by the sheer nature of the salts would make it very, very bitter. But, you know, I think the company's done a remarkable job in creating a formulation that is good. And again, you hear many times that folks just don't like the taste. And as you said, Dr. Harden, if it's good for you, it's got to taste bad. I mean, I'm a Canadian, and for all the Canadians that are listening, they can. It's up in Canada. We have this stuff. It's called Mr. Buckley's cough syrup.
Oh yeah.
Terrible. It is the foulest stuff in the world, and you'll see billboards in Canada as Dr. Buckley's cough medicine tastes like it got a bunch of swear symbols, but it works. And I think what Abigail, what you both said, is that the benefits far offset the taste of the product. So if it's good for you, it's got to taste bad. That's my philosophy. So if it's bad, the worse it tastes, the better it is for you.
Well,
but if it's just looking for, you're going to love it as well. So
yeah, and I kind of asked moms, I'm like, are you a mother? Well, yes. Would you tell your kid to eat green beans if they didn't like them, or broccoli? Well, sure, because they're good for you. I said, well, this is the same type of thing. So however you have to masquerade it, if you need to blend it with a little bit of butter, blend it with the coconut milk, again, the benefits far outweigh that. And that's funny about the Buckley's cough syrup. But again, I love research and I love details. And Dr. Karen Clark out of Oxford University worked for decades to get BHBs palatable, and she gave it to the rowing team, and if it made them 1% better or 2% better, then it was willing to take that no matter what the taste was. And if people are tired enough, if people don't feel good enough, if they're if they're just wanting to have a better day or more mental clarity, or, you know, work all day and come home and be able to make dinner or do yard work, it's totally worth the 30 minutes that you drink it, if you ask me. So again, you just have to ask yourself. But I do want everyone out there listening to know, if you're new to Proven, they listen to us, they listen to the customers, they know that the taste is a big issue, and they are working diligently. They are tasting and testing and tasting and testing to make sure the salts are right, the BHB combination is right, the MCT is plated correctly, so you get all the therapeutic benefits, and they are also focusing on taste. And I just don't think you can ask any more from a company that listens to the millions of people who's experienced it and do it. And I just had a quick text come through, and somebody said heavy whipping cream and ginger. So I have not tried that yet, but I know somebody made a root beer out of a root beer stevia and some heavy whipping cream and use that with a Keto OS. So if you want the benefits, just keep trying little different cocktails. Is kind of my strategy to it. So if one thing doesn't work, try another one. Again, just keep asking yourself if you want the benefits from it. And then the other question, Michael, because I wasn't prepared, but feel so blessed that you and Abigail are here with me, that people ask me all the time, what happens if I stop taking Keto S? So I simply tell them, you simply stop getting the benefits. So if it allowed you to sleep better, if it allowed you to have better moods, if you were having a different body composition, or if you were crushing your workouts, then when you stop taking them, you just don't get the benefits. It's just like if you don't eat your broccoli anymore, you don't take your vitamin C anymore, there's no big rebound effect that we've seen. You simply don't get those benefits that your body needs, because our body does not make its own vitamins and nutrients. We get it from the foods that we drink and the things that we consume. So if you're consuming Keto OS every day and you're feeling great and you're sleeping great and moods are better, you know, and the scale is moving in the right way, or the tape measure is moving in the right way, or your workouts are getting better, when you stop taking it, those benefits go away because you're using fats for fuel. So that's a question I probably get, I don't know, at least 10% of the time on the questions back there. Abigail, have you had anybody stop taking it and then say, oh my gosh, I think I really need that?
Yeah, I think everybody notices. They're like, oh, it's great. And then they stop taking it and they're like, I don't feel good. What's going on? I'm like, no, that's just how you used to feel. And you experienced better and you got used to it. But Heather, I want to bring up something that kind of rides along with that. I think people often ask the question, you know, if I'm putting in ketones exogenously, what's going to happen to my body when I'm trying to make them endogenously, is especially people who are practicing a ketogenic diet and creating a little bit of ketones through nutritional ketosis. Does this inhibit that at all? Will they have any repercussions from it?
So this is one I wasn't going to get into today. That was going to be a little bit down the road, but since we're improvising today, first thing, Rob DeBoer did a remarkable job answering that question. So there's a great YouTube video out there. It's about 14 minutes long, but your body is not picky. So what that means is if there's fuel out there, it's going to use it. The difference is if I'm eating a ketogenic diet and I'm having olives, my body has to process that and then I get ketones. If my body eats an apple, or I choose to eat an apple or pasta or broccoli, I have to use insulin to break it down. So it's a bit slower process, and then I get glucose out of it. So if my body is out of energy or low on energy and I drink a straight energy source like ketones, my body's going to selectively use those. But if I am drinking Keto OS once or twice a day for mental clarity, and then I kind of decide I want to do some body recomposition, or I kind of want the scale to move in a different way, then that becomes a calorie in, calorie out basis. And that's where we talk about basal metabolic rate, because people will say, well, I'm drinking Keto OS and my friend over here lost all this weight. And my questions is, did she have inflammation? Was that some of the fat loss that she experienced? But to get those benefits of fat loss, I probably just went off sidebar, but it's a common question. People say, how much weight should I expect to lose, or how many pounds should I expect to lose, or how many inches should I expect to lose, and what amount of time? That really is such an individualized question that as a specialist, we can't answer that because we don't have all the direct information. Your age, your weight, your body composition, all of your demographics come into play so much with that. But you can simply drink it to get the benefits, and then when body composition comes around, then we start talking about a low carb, high fat diet. So what happens if I eat my pizza and my cheesecake and I drink my Keto OS? Am I going to lose weight or fat the next morning when I wake up? My thing is, how many calories did you have that day? And how many calories does your body need? What's your BMR? And so if you had your cheesecake and your pasta and your ketones, and maybe that was only 2,000 calories, and your BMI is, maybe you need 2,500 calories, you potentially could lose some inches or some fat. So that's a really common question. Rob DeBoer, again, if that's something you're really really focused on of how and when why it works, then I would suggest that you look up Rob's video and look at that. But that is right. People say, well, I started drinking Keto OS and my friend's scale moved this way and my friend's pants, went down an inch a loop here. You're still adding calories into your diet, so don't forget to add those in there. And then again, what should happen is that fat loss is a byproduct of Keto OS. So it helps satiety, which means you're not as hungry anymore, stabilizes your blood sugar. When people sleep better, their cortisol rhythm is better, they wake up feeling better, they don't go to those go-to crashy, sugary foods. So I know I went totally sidebar with that.
I like this conversation because we hear it a lot. And I was actually just on the phone yesterday with a lady who was up 5 pounds. And my question was, I think a lot of women undereat and they're constantly metabolizing muscle mass, and ketones can act as keeping you out of a catabolic state. So what if for the first time you were fueling your muscles and you were burning fat and you were redirecting that? That could be a reason why some people's scale isn't moving either. And I don't know about you, I don't care what I weigh as long as I look good. So I'd rather have that happening. And another thing is people often will start taking the product and they just change their food drastically. If you cut out all your carbohydrates and you're too scared to increase your fat, then all of a sudden you don't really have a very strong fuel source running through your body. And, don't call it the product. You made drastic changes with your diet as soon as you got on it. So we still have to look at the nutrition very intensely.
Yeah, Michael, we've been on about 30 minutes now. I know you're a bit, and we were late getting on. So I'm going to ask if you have one final closing comment or statement, and then I'll have one, and then we will meet again next week. So, Michael, anything on your end that we need to do for housekeeping or for anything?
Well, the only housekeeping is that this Saturday morning we're going to have a progress training with Jared Maidenberg. It's going to be really exciting. I mean, he's just very talented, as you all know, and just an incredible wealth of information and knowledge. And he's going to get some training tips and basically how to build your business, get the edge on your business. So that would be it. And also, all roads are leading to San Diego and the Optimize event, so we need to keep that in people's minds as well. And also, I just want to say kudos to both of you ladies for just doing a great job. I mean, under circumstances, I know what it's like when all of a sudden the plan doesn't play out the way it should, and things start to come into action. You guys did a remarkable job pulling it all together, and for the people that are listening for the very first time, I just want you to know that this is just one of many calls that'll be with Dr. Carden, and I've always said that she has a very, very unique talent and ability to be able to explain the most complex situations and put it in such lay terms where people understand. She's a wealth of knowledge, as you heard. I say to talk to you about in third party, but you are an incredible wealth of knowledge, and the more people that we can expose you to, so they have the opportunity of gleaning from your knowledge, and that we're just going to make a huge impact in many people's lives. So thank you for being the messenger, and Abigail as well. I mean, here's another young lady that has some remarkable abilities. I mean, she is walking the talk when it comes to health, fitness, and performance, a high performance athlete, and her knowledge in the industry, her knowledge of the subject of high performance is pretty amazing. So for the folks listening, you're at the right place at the right time. So ladies, again, kudos to you for a great job. Well done.
Thank you so much, Michael. And if people were late joining on, I want to first apologize if I did not get your questions answered last week, because last week on Periscope, Michael, we had 450 questions in 30 minutes. So I totally missed questions, and I had Abigail here by my side to help me field some of those questions. So if your question was one I didn't get answered, I sincerely apologize, but I went back through and I read every single one of them, and I took tally marks because I'm a little bit of a statistician. So the comments that I make on our weekly Periscope Ask a Specialist actually comes from the most common questions that we get. So I went back through and I read a lot of your comments, and if I didn't individually get those answered, again, I'm really sorry, and I'm trying to do it on this 30-minute weekly call. And secondly, on Ask a Specialist tab, if you're one of those people who's had a question in there for a couple days, I promise you we are working night and day to get your question. Please be patient with us, but maybe it's a question that could have been answered in the FAQ. So if I know there's about 40 tickets out there I've got to get answered, or Dr. Andrew and I have to get answered. Maybe if you've answered a question and today we've actually helped you answer the question, you can simply go back there and comment on your question. I answered it myself. Or look at those FAQs. It's at the very bottom of the page. It says Browse FAQs, and find those questions. And I really look forward to hearing your comments, your progresses, your testimonies. I love all the information that I get. Today I'm sad because I didn't get any hearts, or Abigail and I didn't get the hearts. That's the best thing about Periscope, but I am so happy that Michael was able to join us today. So I look forward to next week with no technical difficulties, live on Periscope, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Ask a Specialist. And I want to thank Abigail for being here by my side and helping me work through the technical difficulties, and Nancy and Stacy behind the scenes. And I hope that this was helpful and it helped you along your lifestyle journey towards a low carb, high fat, healthier lifestyle, or optimum life. So thanks again for joining us, and have a beautiful day.
And for those of you watching the Abigail Klutz Dr. Heather broadcast on here, Heather, what is coming up?
Dr. Heather.
Dr. Heather. Everybody
said.
start calling her Dr. Heather. What is coming up on April 26th
Oh yeah.
in Kansas
Okay,
City?
April 26th, we're having a Better Biohacking from our Keto Cosmo Live group. So if you've been watching us live every Saturday at 10 o'clock or the live playbacks, we have an Evite out there. There is spaces very, very limited. So we hope to see you on April 26th, which is Tuesday, at the KU Regent Center, Edwards Center Campus Center on Quivira. So look for that invite, or if you don't have it, please email me or Brady or Abigail, and we can get
Private
those to
IMs.
you. Yeah, or Katie or Donna or Brittany or Julie. But this Saturday, our Keto Cosmo is going live in a studio. So we've had enough viewers that we are taking it to the Klossmeyer studio, and we want to have live watch parties from your house. So Abigail's going to have a Keto Cosmo Creamer live watch party from her house, and I'm challenging a couple other people to have some coffee get-togethers and watch our Keto Cosmo live. It is 10 o'clock, and usually it's Katie Newell's Facebook because she's awesome with that, or Brady.
It's way better than The View, guys. Totally. So,
Well, we do get off target a lot, and we laugh a lot, and Brittany laughs a lot, and Donna laughs a lot. So anyway, we'd love to have you have a watch party. So if you're going to be at your home, no matter what state you're in, and you're going to have a Keto Cosmo live watch party this Saturday at 10, let us know. You can add your comments on. We'll be trying to watch those. Usually do it through my Periscope, which is ask_Dr. Heather, or my Twitter's ask_Dr. Heather, or it's going to be under the Only Brady one, or it will be under info@jklossmeyer. We'll actually add that in there because all of us are on Twitter, all of us are on Facebook. We're getting Brittany there this week, hopefully. Thumbs up. But we hope to see you all in Kansas City on April 26th at 6:45.
awesome. Bye.